Billy, today I was just considering about teaching children love. Now, I have been an educator for many years, and teacher training, we were taught that there are three types of skills that we teach children: cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Briefly, it means cognitive, we teach them thinking skills, facts, theories, why the apple fell down and not up, and so forth. The psychomotor skills are doing, like writing and cooking and woodwork and swimming and all skills, physical skills. And the third one, affective domain, is feeling. Feeling is appreciating, loving, enjoying, empathizing, and so forth. Now, as a teacher, I found that the first two we are excellent at, and many of us drum the children with cognitive and psychomotor. But the affective domain is not stressed on at all. And that is extremely sad. It was wonderful in the days of old, many of us. I grew up with teachers who really cared. I worked under Miss Elena M. Cook, who was so very insistent that the third domain was far more important than the first two. The nuns that I taught in the convent, when we were in the worst classes and the children were not at all able to understand, she would walk in and say, I don't want you to shout at the children. It doesn't matter if they fail their exams. I want them to learn to love and be good women and be good wives. That's more important than them passing the LCE exam. So we were trained under such heads, and that was what led us to believe that the affective domain is very important. And in the Sathya Sai School, we try to stress on this. While teachers are concentrating on the exams, being an exam-oriented society, we try and teach children the values of life, how to empathize, how to love, how to enjoy a good garden. We keep the garden and the surroundings beautiful in order for them to just see that the school must have flowers and trees and bushes and that they should not be destroyed. So these are some of the values that we try and teach them. And we also teach them about how important it is to start every activity with the thought of the divine, that the hand of the divine is on us. So we always begin our food with a food prayer and thanking and remembering that we are given food because of the grace of the Lord. So these are extremely important, how to appreciate. And I'm also very, very lucky that I was brought up as a child by my mother, who was very, very insistent on keeping a neat home, a tidy home, decorating the house with the flowers that we picked just around the fence, and speaking politely and gently and sharing. We were big numbers of children, but we always had in our homes children of other people. They would be boarding with us, and my mom taught us always to share whatever we had with the people who were boarding in our home. And there would be a stranger who would come along, and mom would again say, well, you can spread a mat and spend the nights if you haven't any place. And true enough, this uncle, we used to call him Tata, he spent so many months in our home. He would spread the mat on the cement floor in the corridor and sleep and have a little meal with us and wash his veshti. He had only 3 veshtis, and he would wash one, wear one, and keep another. He would go around the whole town and come back in the night only. But my mother and father never questioned or chased him off because he only had one meal and he was a good man. And it was amazing that the day I married, he blessed the marriage couple and he left home and we never saw him again. So these are all little ways in which we have been taught how to love and to appreciate. And we also learn poetry and drama are very, very important. The Sathya Sai School stresses a great deal on drama, public speaking, on poetry. Some of the most beautiful poems when the children repeat, for oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. They memorize poems and they learn Wordsworth said, when you're quiet, you will always recall a beautiful memory. So these are some of the things that we stress upon. And now during the period of COVID, the children are at home, and we hope the parents in some way do not allow them to be glued to Nintendo and to various computer games. We hope the parents would encourage them to help the mom with the cooking, with the preparation of the meal, help the mom to iron the clothes or put the home tidy, spend valuable discussion times with the children. We are blessed in a way that God has given us these 24 hours to spend with family. So this is the time when we can really bond with our family. I'm so happy. I live in a condo, and 3 parents came to ask me whether I would have an EHV class for those 3 children. And so since they're on my same condo and there is no restrictions, the 4 little ones come running. And I'm so shocked. The class is only at 6 in the evening. They will be there at 5:30 knocking on the door, wanting to come in, because they are so energized with stories. I do not discipline them very much, so they do make a ruckus of my home and jump around on the cushions and settees, but I just allow them to. And there was one child who could hardly say a word. I thought to myself that perhaps she's deaf, perhaps she's dumb. And when we took her to the pediatrician, she said, no, she's perfectly fine. But the mother said she speaks at home, but in the class with me, not a word. But today, after 3 months, she's beginning to talk, because she, as the pediatrician said, she was beginning to feel comfortable with the children and with the teacher. She was beginning to feel loved, and she was beginning to feel not afraid, and she was beginning to talk. So I just was amazed and thought, at this old age, I had learned an experience of a child who could not say a word only because she was afraid. And yet, when the situation became more relaxed, she was able to speak. And I also learned one thing from the children, that hearing is far more important than reading or giving notes. I have not given a single paper to these children. They are 5 and 6 years old, so I don't give them any poetry or whatever. But the way I tell the story, once upon a time, there was an old man, and he had no home, and they could listen to it and repeat exactly the same way. So their hearing is far more important than their reading. If you nurture their hearing skills, they will be very, very quick at learning. So that was one of the wonderful things I also learned about not giving them notes, but you speaking very, very clearly so that the child can immediately know. I was so shocked without any notes. There are 2 Christian children. Jai, 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 Ganapati Deva, Mada, Parvati, Pida Mahadeva. They could say it so well without me even telling or giving them a paper, only because they heard me say Mada Parvati Pida Mahadeva. So that is very important. Anything else, Billy, that you want me to say?
Oh, I think this is wonderful. Today, your topic is how to teach love to children.
That is very important to focus on that domain, not send them for tuition, but to focus on the fact that they must learn to be affectionate to the little doggy. They must prepare the meal for the dog. They must feed the cat themselves if they have a pet cat. So these are important things that you must teach them. With the Indonesian maids, they relegate so much of their work to the maids.